maybe a Desu when they were on Dragonite might have pushed that out, but I still think that Duraludon was making it to the bottom path there. But we're watching here on the side of Nemesis rolling through. That's Yeetfan, Rex, and as Enable gonna hold down that bottom path.
We see that solo Greedent top for Nemesis pairing up against that Lucario, while Decidueye is coming into the bottom path, and Froakie, eventually Greninja, is in the center for Nemesis here.
A clear plan from Nemesis on how to tackle the Duraludon menace, and we can't wait to see how it develops, as we haven't seen just such a dedicated strategy to that. Our trio, again, as you mentioned, in the top path alone, and that's not new space for them. They're used to working like that. But look at this action inside. Slashcan just staying up, rolling out, get finally taken out by As Enable. Good work there to keep themselves up and finally get the KO on that very, very persistent Jigglypuff.
A little bit of an interesting dynamic we see here from this Decidueye in the bottom path. Decidueye is a character that's not quite as good at contesting those last hits against the opposing team as some of these other Pokemon like Slowbro and Hoopa, meaning that they're putting more pressure on the opposing Pokemon to push them off as opposed to just trying to flip for those hits.
Rex going to do a great job clearing out the other team so that Yeetfan can get those last hits, or at least try to, as they get into that Dark Tricks. And now they're able to push a little bit. Yeetfan, Rex doing a great job in this bottom path with this unique composition.
Yeah, really, I think you got to be pretty ecstatic if you're on Nemesis' side here. Having that level 5 Decidueye in the bottom path already here. Decidueye, a character that's going to scale impressively late while being a little bit weaker early, and the fact that they're ahead in this early game seems huge for their strategy.
Without a doubt, the action's breaking out down here. Just Rex playing up front, being a great wall for the squishier 2 Pokemon that sit behind it, that Hoopa, and of course that Dartrix Yeetfan. And they're working through. Yeetfan really wants to get to that Decidueye so that when that Duraludon gets it in the mix, they can start eating it up from long range.
Yeah, it feels like one of the questions we're going to want to see answered here is, can this Decidueye get enough experience funneled into it in this bottom path to hit that final stage of Decidueye at level 7 to get access to that Spirit Shackle attack to allow it to secure those last hits at range or poke at Duraludon from a distance?
Without a doubt, and of course, you mentioned the attack weight on that Dartrix, and I haven't seen them score any points quite yet, so they're going to want to start getting those stacked up as soon as possible here, but of course not in exchange to get knocked out. Look at everyone posturing. Duraludon already down there here for the 720Bs, but we're up top as we're watching these get burned through that E-Speed at Bulby, but Trainer LGC is in the mix and gets the KO on the Lucario with the support of Greedent.
Yeah, giving up a little bit of their position in the bottom path to get ahead in the top. And we can see here it's going to come at a real cost. The Decidueye hitting that critical level 7 mark for the Spirit Shackle, but Blackhand has the forward position for this objective here, quickly taking it out before the Spirit Shackle can even get close.
Yeah, great exchange for Blackhand. We'll sacrifice our Wigglytuff. We'll play them forward in exchange for this Dreadnought. Worked out like a charm and exactly how they sussed it. Chaotic going back into their central area here. Going to try and keep snowballing their level advantage that they have on their counterpart, Trainer LGC.
Really like the map awareness from Blackhand here, saying, okay, we got this objective, but the rest of Nemesis came down and they have this position around their point. We're not going to try and push our advantage. We're just going to take what we got and then back on out here as Nemesis decides to try and push 5 stacked down here on this first point.
A full team push here, and they're working and trying to get the points in. And as they're working through, that's a KO streak of 2 for LGC. The Trainer LGC, KO streak of 3, excuse me. I said they were down on experience, but that's a heck of a way to catch up, is taking the body and mowing down 3 members of Blackhand. Bulby gonna seal up this Rotom alone, though, and that's worth noting here, Jeff.
Doobstacks noted earlier that the Decidueye with the attack weight had not gotten any early dunks in there, and I think the purpose of that big 5-player push on the bottom from Nemesis was to allow that Decidueye to start stacking up. I don't know if you noticed, Doob, but after they pushed the opposing team off, they allowed the Decidueye to grab up those individual pieces of Eos energy and get multiple dunks there, scaling its attack up with that item.
A great strategy as our trio comes through, a little bit of belch in that face of that Lucario, trying to put it to sleep with the halitosis. And now our trio back in the middle here, not trying to engage too much, just get their own contestable wild Pokemon.
Yeah, I really like the positioning and prioritization of objectives and map pressure that Nemesis has taken this match so far. So they kind of acknowledge that the first Rotom didn't have a lot of value for them. They've positioned themselves so that way they have the map advantage here going into the second Dreadnought. Their team has a lot of Pokemon that scale up into the late game, and they're trying to ensure that they have the experience advantage heading into that.
Watch Yeet Fan. They're using that big Decidueye arrow to fire in and keep them at bay so they can have the positional advantage of Dreadnought. The fight is breaking out. That's a hoop on bound. KO streak of 2 for the Slowbro. Are you kidding me? Get those surfs in, buddy. Hang 10. As now we're working through the rest of Blackhand. They're completely just snuffed out from this Dreadnought. And now Nemesis needs to turn the corner. As look at that penetration by Bolby the Lucario. And the right side team takes it off the back of our Triyu. Great work. And now they just need to finish up the KOs as Mop Wop goes down. And what a show by Nemesis. That was perfectly strategized and expertly executed. Great look there.
Yeah, really fantastic engagement where Nemesis was able to prioritize removing Blackhand's Duraludon from the playing field, basically getting rid of their best chance to secure that objective before they decided to move in on eliminating Dreadnought itself.
Look at Trainer LGC. They were behind on experience, got that KO streak of 3, back to level 13 off the back of another KO streak of 2, I believe. And now Mop Wop and Bolby are just forced to try and get these bees. Rotom, here comes Decidueye, eyeing him up, lining him up. Is a frog gonna get pinged to the backboard here?
The arrow coming across huge, hitting multiple people on Blackhand, meaning they get chunked for damage before this engagement can even start here. We see Nemesis pulling back a little bit as Greninja is knocked out. This Rotom, again, doesn't have a ton of value for Nemesis with that forward point for Blackhand up. They're pretty content to just push it off at their tier 2 goal.
Yeah, it looks like Slowbro and Decidueye are going to be the ones responsible for just mowing down that Rotom as our Triyu. Look where our Triyu was. They are all the way across the map, finally back, so they can keep this bottom goal zone intact as that Hoopa's working on alone. As Enable trying to hold it down. That's a big belch, catches a couple of them, and they're working through Chaotic and just chunked in, and they're trying to keep this goal zone up, and it's great work and great defense by Nemesis. They only had 2 players there, As Enable doing a brunt of the work here up front with a little bit of support of our Triyu. Their defensive stand holds.
Yeah, honestly, excellent map awareness from Nemesis there, correctly realizing that Blackhand was not going to push with this Rotom. They were using it to generate map pressure and then attempting to pressure Nemesis's outside goal point here, which gives them this valuable forwarding position as this next Dreadnought is spawning.
Yeah, this Dreadnought's going to spawn and Blackhand's pushing, because even if there's KOs here, you're probably going to be back in time for the Zapdos. So this is one to contest here as Bolby's ripping through it. Nemesis has decided to fade a little bit and finally get in. The Duraludon seals it. Trainer LGC goes down to the Lucario, and that's a little bit of revenge by Bolby, as now they're pushing the bottom goal zone, and they're going to see if they can close it out on this push. Last time didn't quite work out, but there's no defense here from Nemesis, saying that is a lost cause. Let's get out of here because we got Zapdos here in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I like this trade from Nemesis as well, honestly, acknowledging that they can't defend this goal and they need to back off. And Decidueye was able to counter score 50 top, keeping the actual scoreboard for this game incredibly close, as Wigglytuff is able to get up on top of the very squishy Decidueye there.
That's a Unite move by the Duraludon as they're caught by themselves and they're working through. The chase is on. 2 players down already for Blackhand. Nemesis has the level advantage. They're making it look nasty now as the Hoopa Unbound gets the punches and Trainer LGC getting into the mix. And now that's 3 players down for Blackhand, and it's up to the Wigglytuff and the Eldegoss to try and steal this thing out from under Nemesis as they're burning it down. Our Triyu trying to suss up Mop Wop. Mop Wop trying to square up the Leaf Tornado. They get taken out by the Decidueye, and now it's free reign all over this Zapdos. And of course Nemesis takes it because it was their show to begin with, and now the goal zones are unlocked.
What an incredibly impressive mid to end game positioning and engagement from Nemesis. Really showing the power of Decidueye into this very dominating pick that basically every other team in this tournament has had in Duraludon.
I mean, these points are just raining in, and this lead is stretching out like taffy as Nemesis is up by just under 500 points. So Blackhand needs full pockets, and they need almost everyone to convert if they want a shot in this one. And there's only 48 seconds left on the clock, Joe.
Yeah, and like Doob said, full pockets is the key part of Doob's statement there, even assuming they can have a successful push. And Blackhand has nowhere near full pockets going into this engagement here.
Yeah, Decidueye doing a great job getting some damages, ripping through some score shields here. The collective effort by Blackhand, only 12 points left on that one. Is Chaotic going to get the 100 in? Oh no, Bolby dunked in their face! No, and then the Unite move by the Greninja, and the Unite move back by Chaotic for the buddy barriers, and now they have to push as it's a mad scramble, and there's no way there's enough points in Blackhand to bring this thing up to parity, so now it's about the score sheet. Who's gonna tally more KOs? Who's gonna put the more notches on the belt? And it looks like it's Trainer LGC. Trainer LGC Yagami putting everyone's name down in the knockout note. That's a KO streak of 3 to close this one out.
In a closer game, that score by the Lucario might have spelled disaster, but fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, Nemesis's lead was so commanding, 7-16 to 345 here, that little flub did not matter. Honestly, just what a commanding end game engagement from Nemesis. Despite being down almost every objective leading into it, able to easily and cleanly
this Nemesis team and try and get their spirits down early, because you're going to need one here to bring this thing back up to 1 apiece.
We see the same pathing split that we saw in the previous game with that solo Lucario top for Blackhand and the solo Greed top for Nemesis. We have Duraludon as well as Faruki heading into the central areas for each team respectively, as our first brawl breaks out over that ever-important first Dino on the bottom, which it looks like Wigglytuff was able to secure here.
Yeah, that's great if they're going to go the Sing route, because you want to get that early. That's when it allows you to push forward into this lane, especially and try and catch some of these ranged Pokemon early. Look at the Yeet fan positioning here as Slashcan jumps up and they're putting the pressure on Asenable. Asenable making it out in the face of Slashcan. Yeet fan just chipping in and sending them packing, saying you've overstayed your welcome.
Yeah, really like this pressure from Blackhand. I like that they decided to walk up and just start contesting the Audinos, kind of acknowledging the fact, hey, the downside to your Rowlet early is the fact that it's not going to allow you to contest last hit. So rather than trying to fight against your triple muscle band path, we're instead just going to secure these pieces of wild Pokemon and then get out.
Our Trio and Trainer LGC moving in tandem in that top path, and they're in the face of Bulby, but here comes Chaotic, going to throw some damage out. It's all about the bees. Are they going to elect to take each other's body? A Trio getting a good share of that as they turn into Greedent here, already level 5, and the chase is on. Bulby's trying to get the KO, but that Greedent is slippery, gets out. Trainer LGC literally just sitting on that top goal zone, firing some water into the face of the opposing squad, sending them packing.
Yeah, anytime you can be at parity with Lucario in the top path as a non-Lucario Pokemon, you got to be pretty happy with your position. So both Lucario and Greedent there being 5 is pretty big. That being said, looking to the bottom path, we're seeing what I would more expect to be the norm in this bottom path, where Rowlet is still not quite hitting level 5 for its first evolution yet, and Blackhand is a little bit ahead there to start.
Yeah, Bulby putting the pressure on our Trio a little bit. Our Trio, no stranger to that, as LGC is coming with Bulby. Now they got the pressure on our Trio, frames them up and darts through, and with the combination of Trainer and Trainer LGC, they're able to take out Bulby here. Here comes Chaotic to try and keep some of this scoring from going in. Our Trio playing forward, letting the Frogadier get out of there, but the Frogadier grabs an Apom on their way out and gets that Greninja well sussed out. Nemesis, again, getting the early experience lead here, and they're going to keep pushing that advantage.
So a little bit of a head in the top path for Nemesis while being a little bit behind in the bottom path. We see that Rowlet second form hitting level 6. He needs one more level to hit that final form of Decidueye at level 7 here. And we see those bees getting ready to spawn at the 720 mark, being the next key source of experience for all of these players.
We just saw the central area players for both teams go down, one to the Eldegoss on Nemesis' side, and I'm not too sure who took out Duraludon, but that's worth noting here as both those players are still sitting at level 7. And typically you ideally want them at level, close to 9 for Dreadnought here, but neither of them are in that stratosphere.
We see Greedent getting to the bottom path first here, but everybody quickly soon joining in. I think for Nemesis' side here, you really want to take this engagement before starting the objective because you lack the powerful secure of a Duraludon on your team. So this Dreadnought walking back and resetting its health pool is very beneficial to them as Blackhand immediately starts hitting the objective again.
Yeah, each team gave up some KOs, but now they're back in the mix here as our Trio goes down the Greedent to the Duraludon. Now we're pushing Rexes down. They go down. That's 2 players down for Nemesis. Those are the 2 biggest chunky ones in the front here. And now there's 2 down for Blackhand, and the team's working through. Look at Asenable. Look at Bulby. They're trying to work through. It's Train LGC still up. KO streak of 3, and they're just mowing. KO streak of 4. They're mowing it down. Are they going to take the Dreadnought? They are, with the help of Asenable and Trainer LGC now. Just level 8 shades ago. Now level 10 and feeling good.
We see the power of those surf resets inside of that engagement. Greninja surfed across Duraludon, it surfed across another, and bing, 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 like dominoes, all of Black Hand's Pokemon were knocked out in quick succession there.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to keep Trainer LGC on a leash because they are just running rampant here. And now we have the Unite move by our Trio getting in the face of Blackhand all over this goal zone as all of Nemesis is still there. We see a Unite move by Duraludon. They're working through, but look, it's the Slowbro up front and Trainer LGC, of course, taking the body and getting a KO here. Rex still playing forward, and now the points are just raining in this goal zone. And if they can work through that, just like you said, the Decidueyes get their stacks in, Jeff.
Yep, and we see that exact same 5-player push for the full team on Nemesis on the bottom there, allowing Decidueye to start unlocking that attack weight stacking with a couple of scores there to start. We also saw a very good pivot from Blackhand. In the previous game, Blackhand had rotated players out of the bottom right away, but they adjusted this time through even if they weren't successfully able to push that attack off.
Trainer LGC, Yeetfan, and our Trio. Good presence in the top path. Nobody's all over Rotom yet, but they're all squaring up here as it's just Hoopa left to babysit the bottom path goal zone. Rex is playing very far forward, and they're trying to use Yeetfan and LGC to get in the mix here, as here we go. Just our Trio getting to the mix. Now they're trying to work through Rotom, but Blackhand takes it from a range here, and let's see if they decide to escort it in. They're pushing. Unite move by Duraludon, and they're going to try to use that as a piggyback to get these points in, and they start raining them in, and they're going to close this goal zone out with a huge overcap.
So Blackhand is caught back up and then some in terms of points. However, if we look at one of the more important scoreboards, especially for the early and mid game, the levels are definitely still favoring Nemesis here. We're going to start seeing a bunch of Unite moves popping off for all of our characters as the second dread starts to come up. See Greninja get portaled in off of that Hoopa after it was recently knocked out.
I mean, the buddy barrier's doing work because nobody's fallen yet. Of course, I say that Slowbro, Lucario, Duraludon all biting the dust here, as now it's our Trio on the Dreadnought Trainer LGC. Blackhand doesn't really have any players that can pressure right now, as that Hoopa already used its Unite move. They're chasing down Mopwop as Enable's on the scene. They get a KO there, and now there's 3 players around Dreadnought. Nemesis just has to hold back Curios. They do. Fluffy Tail Dreadnought, KO Streak a 2 for the Hoopa. Goodbye, Turtle. The squirrel is eating you up. And Nemesis pushing that level advantage, and just a great showing in that bottom path.
Such fantastically consistent engages from Nemesis here. They take that team fight, they knock out the Duraludon, the Pokemon capable of securing on Blackhand's team, and they quickly pivot to turning on the objective, picking off the rest of Blackhand as they come in as the objective gets low.
Something that's getting pretty dangerous. That Decidueye, that bottom path Pokemon level 12, and Duraludon just ticked from level 12 to level 13 on Blackhand. And that's not where you want to be in the damage dealing race here. Blackhand really wants to get Duraludon up on those levels, as Yeetfan, look at them just sussing out with those big arrows, firing them across the map and seeing who the weakest link is so they can say goodbye, firing them through the bead.
Just how much incredible range the Spirit Shackle has on Decidueye. That arrow flies further than we can even see off of our spectator screen here, pinning Pokemon in place and lowering their speed should they try and walk outside of that arrow's deadly circle.
Rex doing a great job playing in front of the squad here, is going to unlock the door for them to put pressure on Rotom. Blackhand not willing to give it up too easily as Slash Can gets in the mix with the big sleep. Duraludon converting on a KO on the Slowbro here, but Nemesis is sending the Rotom, but immediately they're scattering away from it. They know that's not what's important. That's that map present that they don't actually have to exist in here, as our Trio gets into the mix with a quick belch and then scampers away, and all of Nemesis resets to get some of that Pokemon experience that rests throughout the map.
Yeah, we see Nemesis pause there for a minute, wait and see if the Rotom's gonna go in, or if there's few enough of Blackhand there that they can pressure it. They acknowledge, no, this is not worth getting knocked out for. We're gonna back off and go get value somewhere else on the map, likely knocking out wild Pokemon, and more importantly, getting into position as Zapdos spawns here at 2 minutes.
Yeah, Nemesis is all over it here, and Blackhand trying to get together to make a collective push because they're gonna need everything. Rex playing forward, eyeing up Curios, and here we go. We're chipping in, we're waiting. There's the Hoop on bound. We're there to bring in everybody in like the Avengers. Here we go. Chaotic into the mix. That's Duraludon. Buddy berries are everywhere. We're chucking fists into each other's faces. That's another Unite move, and 2 more Unite moves from the Lucario and the Greninja. And we're mowing them down. 1 player down for Blackhand. Nemesis keeps pushing forward. Nemesis takes it. 2 players down. 3 players down for Blackhand. And now they have taken the bodies. They've laid them down. They've got the points. They got to convert. Straight ducats after stealing up the Zapdos here. And Rex gets the first Hundo Burger in, as Nemesis is turning the tides into the face of Blackhand.
Just consistently fantastic engagements, battle after battle here The Duraludon went down for Blackhand, and Nemesis knew that was their moment to turn and secure with their Surf, with their Spirit Shackle, with their belts from their Greedent. They took the objective successfully, just like they did both of the Dreadnoughts that game. Really fantastic team fights overall from Nemesis in this set.
Yeah, 313-point difference here. Our trio's playing so far forward. Blackhand needs, again, full pockets, full hearts, and a team push on that furthest goal zone to make this work. But I'm not seeing a lot of purple pips get together here, as they're just trying to rein it in the hard way. But our trio is there always to put in a 45 once everybody leaves the home goal zone here. They get plus 46 there, 353 to 612, and I don't think that's enough, Jeff. Not quite yet.
Look at the HP pools just get deleted off of these characters from these arrows from afar. Sure, they broke that outside goal and got their first bits of points in, but they were left at a third of their life total, Doob, unable to push in on the second point that they desperately need to score on as well.
I mean, that belly flop, just belly flopping in for another 100 points to rub salt into the wound there by who else but, of course, the Greedent, just getting those final points, and his Blackhand is dispatched unceremoniously out of these losers semifinals by Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis looking quite dominating in those matches there. And honestly, an impressive performance from the first team we've seen in these sets, and choosing not to leverage Duraludon, but instead leaning into a way to exploit what it does, which is being long range, but being incredibly squishy while doing so.
Without a doubt, if these teams have been